Every human's heart, according to our manufacturer, is desperately wicked. Your heart and my heart, it is not wicked. It is desperately wicked. And it says it is not only wicked, but your heart is deceitful above all else.
Right.
This is why women have to be careful in choosing a man, because we can deceive you.
Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to Marriage Matters as we continue to think and talk and process and share and ponder the matters of marriage. Mr. Arthurs, what's up?
Hey, morning, and whatever time of the day to those of you who are listening, greetings.
All right, great. So we could get into it then.
I like that. I was just speaking to someone yesterday, I think, and was going through who taught me about women. I learned about women from the males in my class in standard 6.
Wow.
And that was my introduction into understanding women.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not a good one. It made me full of lust and the wrong impressions and understanding of women parts, the way they would describe women parts, and it made me want to touch on it. I just became this sexual nasty being, if I could say it that way.
Yeah.
And then I would go on vacation, and then I would meet with some of my other family members, cousins, and so on. They would encourage me, and I would go under the house with them, and they taught me how to peep on my other cousins.
Yeah.
When they're going out to use the bathroom and that sort of thing, and it's man, it's just nasty. And so we need men that understand how to be good men, how to be clean, and how to be to teach our young boys.
Yeah.
And you, if you're a father, you should speak to your young boy. When he gets 13, 14, he begins to realize he likes girls. He begins to see part of his body that he didn't see before that can change position. And that time, that little boy needs his father there to teach him how to think about women and how to treat women. You know? So instead of having teenagers teaching you and they have warped mentalities, I could share some horrifying lessons learned. Not horrifying for me, but horrifying for who I would have done things with that I shouldn't have been doing at that tender age. You know? So again, hence, these sort of things, these sort of sessions are, talking is good for our youth to hear, that they can learn from sensible men.
Right.
How to treat your woman and how to begin to think and to prepare yourself for relationship and marriage. What I was learning would prepare me to have many children with many different women. But today we should be speaking about love, and I think love would be the only DNA, the only ingredient that is necessary for life on a whole, not only relationships with a spouse, but relationship in general. The world is a world built on relationship, and it is built on male and female relationship. Everything in life is either a male or a female relationship. And even if you don't understand it, it is right there in front of you, and it's practical and it works. For example, you're hot and you want to cool down, so you want to turn the fan on. You take a male fan plug and you plug it into a female outlet, and it works, because that is the way it was designed to work. And so we are designed male and females, and we function that way. But the male now has a responsibility. The male has a function. He has a way he needs to operate and perform and function. And it is way beyond sex. It is built on love. It is covered by love. It is protected by love. It is powered by love. And this is where we need to start to look as males on things that will cause us to be able to function in love. So I'll say one more thing before I pass back to you. I want to begin by saying that every man's heart, and when I say man, not only man, but woman, every human's heart according to our manufacturer, is desperately wicked. Your heart and my heart, it is not wicked. It is desperately wicked. And it says it is not only wicked, but your heart is deceitful. And it is not only deceitful, but your heart and my heart is deceitful above all else. There is nothing else on this earth more deceitful than your heart and my heart. So it's desperately wicked, and it would have already been bad enough to stop there. But somehow the manufacturer did not stop there, and he says it is deceitful. So not only wicked, it's deceitful above all else.
Right.
This is why women have to be careful in choosing a man, because we can deceive you.
Yeah.
And trick you into seeing
like
what
that.
we want you to see.
Yeah.
And then it's desperately wicked. And so why would I start with this? I would start with this to say that if you look worldwide, you will see people that have their hearts under control.
Right. Right.
And your heart needs to be locked, or let me put it this way then. Your heart needs to be taken behind the barn and shut. So the principle is that for a human to function humanely, in a humane manner, we need to take our heart behind the barn. And well, let's say it a different way. We should have our hearts locked up in a cage. That part of our heart, that is the creature, that is a human being without the manufacturer, needs to be locked up. We need to practice to lock him up. Because when we let out that creature, it is then you see murders, serial killers, and going to school and having a gun and just killing our fellow students. It is where we see men beating their women, and all the things that happen, stealing, and that all that comes from the heart.
Right.
It is desperately wicked.
Right.
And nobody is exempted from that. My heart is the same. The only difference with people that you don't see doing this sort of stuff is that people that have self-control, they are able to lock up their hearts in a cage. They're able to take their hearts behind the barn. And I'm going to say, they shoot it. The heart can't die, but they're able to take it every time it gets up behind the barn, and they shoot it with a tranquilizing gun or something it's almost as if it's not there. Okay, that's the only difference. Some people wear their hearts on their sleeve, their wicked hearts, and so they will do you things right away. They don't care. And some other people have their hearts properly locked up where it should be, because it's desperately wicked,
right,
and deceitful above all else.
Yeah, I know. And I think what you're saying this reinforces the importance of what we're doing with preparation, because when we think about preparation, and we're talking specifically to men, and you shared, and I really appreciate your vulnerability, being transparent, and also growing up, and I'll just be transparent here a little bit, at the age of like 11, 12. I was not looking for it, but I went to see my friend at his house, and he had porn on the computer, and that was where that began for me. I mean, you had little hints before, but that was where it really that's where I was introduced to porn at that age, and because it was video. Before that, it was just maybe on cards or a book, but so likewise, you shared how much those things kind of things, and you use a word, warped. It warped my mind. And the company you kept growing up just continued to warp it more. And so as we encounter the manufacturer, as we relate with the manual, there is a resetting. And that's why preparation is important, because and like you said, also, you learn women from these guys, your friends in standard 6, but one of the things that help in preparing us as men is learning from older men who are doing it right.
That's right.
And so uh I this is one thing I say: transform living starts with transform thinking.
Right. Yeah, of
Right?
course.
You can't change the way you're living until you start changing the way you're thinking. And so the manual gives us, it gives us two faculties or two parts of us that kind of like, you see them interchangeably used, the mind and the heart, the mind and the
Yeah.
heart. But there are some places where it specifically shows us, and you were alluding a lot to the heart, but it shows us places where our mind has to do with the attitude and the perspective. But the heart has to do with affection.
Yeah.
And and you spoke a lot about the heart a while ago. So preparation for us, as humans on a whole, but for men, the mind.
Yeah.
And again, your mindset really, it really impacts your attitude,
Yep.
And so preparation of the mind, transform living starts with transform thinking. But then the heart,
Right.
which has to do with affection, also has to be. You use. I love that you made it very, very vivid. You gotta lock it up. You gotta realize this heart of ours. That's what it is. And
Yep.
but now we have been given also self-control. So self-control is how we master it. So I just wanted to add those things because I thought those were some very, very profound things that you were saying, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with you too with what you're saying. It's hard, and my heart pains me because um my heart pains me because we're when you're taught by your peers or other people that have a wrong understanding of women,
Mm-hmm.
it messes you up.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking about the
Mm-hmm.
two faculties, the mind and the heart, you speak
Mm-hmm.
about the mind, the heart being affection.
Mm-hmm.
That's where affection comes from, and the
Mm-hmm.
heart is where passion also comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And your mind is just an important gateway
Mm-hmm.
that feed your heart. It feeds things to your
Mm-hmm.
heart,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it also will allow things out of the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So what goes in your mind is important because it enters the heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so when from that age, same age as you said earlier, 11, 12, I'm in standard 6, and these
Mm-hmm.
guys are teaching me things. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest to you, I'm getting nastier and nastier
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as I grew up not hearing these things. And then they started to show me these books. The first pornographic book that I saw was one in black and white, and it was thick. And my cousins, they have me under the same house and showing me and saying, these
Mm-hmm.
women are from this country and from that country. And
Mm-hmm.
my eyes just begin to drool, and the saliva from my mouth begins to fall. And
Mm-hmm.
then I go to high school, and now I go in the bathroom, and the guys there have this thing now in color,
Mm-hmm.
Technicolor.
Mm-hmm.
And I start to
Mm.
learn about train and
Yeah.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it got worse.
I got worse. I was properly messed up. And women were instead of being human beings, they were objects.
Yeah. Wow.
You see?
Wow.
And all this happened without any training, without
Mm.
any male in my life saying, this is you're becoming a man now. You will start to notice women. This is how you treat a woman. This is your job is to none of that. Women were sexual objects.
Mm. Mm.
You see?
Mm.
And I started to my life changed around when I gave my life
Mm-hmm.
to the manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had men there that began instructing me in these things. And that's where it all began to change. But if I did not get that change of life, I'm telling you,
Mm-hmm.
I would have had many kids
Mm-hmm.
out there because I learned
Mm-hmm.
from boys in my class and my cousins that were around my same age
Mm-hmm.
how to deal with women. And it's totally messed up. Totally messed up. And so this is why I'm saying that one of the first preparation we have to understand why these preparations are
Mm-hmm.
important is because we
Mm-hmm.
come into life with wrong understanding, wrong mentalities. And when you add that to a heart that is already desperately wicked and deceitful, then you can see why a man will put on a show to get a woman. And she believes this show because she has no clue how to investigate a man. And now she ends up with this man and she does not know that she has a creature and not a good creature. She has an animal with her. And it's too late because you have already said I do.
Right.
So that's important to know.
Yeah, and so I think for where we're going, this is why it's important, and I think you're gonna unpack a little bit of love for us about love. I don't know. Again, we find ourselves in this dilemma when we're having these conversations, right? It's a deep thing, but because a lot of times, and I'm hoping when you begin to unpack love, it can give us proper perspective, because a lot of times for me, I'll say for me, what I thought was love was just my lust.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're growing up with that warped mentality, that warped affection. And like you said, women are just seen as objects, sex objects. I could masquerade in my heart. I could put a veneer of care. I could put a veneer of that I am all about you.
Yeah.
But really what's underneath is lust, and I'm trying to mask it with a pretense of what I think love is. And so therefore I think a lot of times I always say and tell people, like a lot of times we use the word love, people use the word love, and I'm not sure if either I can't judge to say that we mean it, but sometimes it's used very, very loosely, very widely.
Yeah.
And so so if you could help us as you begin to unpack that, because love, like, again, well, a lot of what I thought was love was just really my lust. That I was just using the word, but because so can you help us a little bit with unpacking some of that that love, that
I would totally enjoy to do that. And I'm not sure I even want to focus too much on love, but I'm going to sing a song for our audience.
Let's go.
No, I'm not a singer. Most people that ask me to sing only do it once, and after that they decide that was a mistake. So it's I'll say, like, as people like to say, don't listen to the voice, listen to the words. So I love music. I love music. I literally love music. And going up, there was this almost contemporary group of singers that they're a family, and they all can sing. And they sing like soul love songs. And they're kingdom people. And that's important when I'm saying they're kingdom people. They're people that they manufacture. They have given their lives to the manufacturer. And so they wrote this song that I love. And it goes something like this. I'll just sing probably 2 lines. It goes, searching for love. And it says, another part says, and everyone knows that love is a feeling. And I grew up loving that song. But I would ask the writers of that song to insert a word in there. Instead of saying, I won't sing anymore because I don't want the camera to break. But I'll ask them to insert one word in there. Do not say everyone knows that love is a feeling. Instead, say everyone knows that love is not a feeling. Or say everyone should know that love is not a feeling.
Right.
Because we all go into love thinking that it's a feeling. That all these movies that you see, they have this young lady seeing this young man pass, and you just see stars in her eyes, and it's all about how he makes me feel. Ooh.
Yeah.
And so that is love. That is not love. That is not love. That is not how he makes you feel when he walks past you, and how she makes you feel when she walks past you. that is not going to let your relationship last a lifetime. Love is not a feeling. There's one type of love that is a feeling. So, young lady, sorry, young men, I know we are speaking to men and in these sessions, but I just want to squeeze this in for the young ladies. The next time a man comes to you and tells you he loves you, you ask him this question, what is love? And if he begins to describe feeling how he feels when he sees you, run in the opposite direction. Okay? Don't let him describe how he feels and you believe that that means that no, this is a man that you can trust your life with. Please. Because a man needs to know that first thing about love is sacrifice. The first and the most important thing about love is sacrifice. This is why I began speaking about the wickedness in our heart. Because from we are toddlers, from we are babies, we, without any training, we know how to be selfish. We know how to be spiteful. Without any training, without even understanding that we are spiteful and we are being selfish. We want toys for ourselves. We throw a tantrum when we don't get our own way. We grow up because our heart is not locked up. And so even from young, we are selfish. So when that man wants to prepare himself for a relationship, he has to check his selfish meter. How selfish are you? That word should not be in your vocabulary. That word should be locked up right beside your heart, in the same cage. Once you begin to get into relationship, you can no longer be selfish, sir. You should be the opposite. And so if you are preparing for a relationship, first thing, get ready to be selfless. Get ready to understand sacrifice, to be willing to give your life for your family. You put your family first. You don't stay out and work on your job until 12 in the night and come home to your lady as if she's a maid and then go back again till 12 the next night. No, put your family first. Putting your family first includes working, and we'll get to that. But don't let your work become your priority to the neglect of your family. The very thing you're working for is to take care of your family. You see? So the first part of preparing a man should have is learning how to sacrifice. Practice how to be unselfish. Practice with people in your life, people around you, men and women around you, boys and girls around you, people that are less fortunate. Practice to not be selfish. Practice to sacrifice for others. If you train yourself to always get what you want, when you want it, how you want it, and it's always you, then you need to stay single. That's the attitude and that's the mindset and the heart of a single man. You see? And so that's the first one I would like to share.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of love. Be selfless. Prepare yourself. Train yourself to be selfless.
Train yourself to be selfless. All right. And again, see, so that's one of the sandpapers today. I started by talking about some of what said it's gonna rub against. I think you were alluding to me in the conversation before we started about someone telling you some of the counsel you were giving was stupidness.
Yeah.
But and that's fine, because insanity is what? Doing the same thing and expecting a change.
Right.
And ask yourself this question. This is, I'm just making a slight comment so you can move to the next one. As you talk about train yourself to be selfless, they're like, nah, especially in a lot of what the world says today about follow your heart, do you kind of thing. There's a whole kind of like a lot of philosophy surrounds and teaches that you are the center and you and not others. And so this right here, which I agree with, is we're offering a little bit of sandpaper to refine you with that one.
yeah, of course.
Yes, sir.
Of course, so it might not be easy to hear, but it is harder. If you think it is easy to learn this, imagine how hard it is to have to to go through a divorce.
Mm.
Imagine how hard it is to have a child with your woman, that
Mm.
whether you're married or not, and then you have to leave her because you can't live with her, and your child's heart is split in two because daddy can't be around. That is harder. So it is easier to capture this now than later on. So in practicing to be selfless, I want to go back there. Listen, guys, for men, it's all about the chase. We love to chase. So we will, to get that lady, we get a high to, you know, date her, to call her, to wait for her after school, which, by the way, if the lady is going to school, leave her alone. I'm not talking university, but if she's going to high school, leave her alone. That means, anyway, I'll get to that eventually. But we wait outside after school, we stay out in the rain. You know, I've seen dogs that when you try to bathe them, they run. And when it's mating season, they sit out there in the rain for days.
It's the same, boy. Yep.
You know, and there's a lot that happens with men where to get this woman, we're on her best behavior, we have a passion, we love, and we wait, and we do this and we do that, and we take them out on dates because it's all about the chase. But what happens when you catch her? Then we want to go to that same thing about feeling. When we catch her now, we want to repeat that feeling, that adrenaline rush. So we start to chase somebody else. Man, this is not a catch game.
That's a good thing. That's good. I like that.
You see? So,
I like that.
And another thing to train yourself is to understand that it is not about the chase. We need to prepare ourselves for the long haul, for the long run. It's not about chasing.
Commitment.
Right. And understanding that after you get someone that you love and you've captured them, since we're chasing, after you've chased them, your attraction gifts won't stop. It doesn't stop because you found a mate now, or you found a spouse. You will still have that attraction gift working. In fact, it gets better because it's sharpened now. So you'll see other people out there that you're attracted to. And if you do not have your heart locked up behind in a prison cell where it belongs, then what will happen? Because your attraction won't stop. And so you have to train yourself. And hopefully I can look at one of the things we need to train ourselves to help with this, so that attraction doesn't get us into trouble. No? But I want to go back to where it talks about being selfless, because it takes me to the second point here, where you're preparing yourself. So, sir, you're taking out this lady on a date. In other words, you come to this lady and you tell her, look, I like how you look. You know, I want to make you happy. You know, let's go with me on a date. You know, come with me and you'll never thirst again, my baby. That's what you'll say to her.
That's smooth.
And you, sir, are so wicked that you are going to call this lady, tell her you like her, and you want to take her on a date. You are going to take away time from this lady. If she's a lady with a doctorate, she might be worth, in terms of finance, she might be making $4, $5, $6, $7, $8,000 a month. She might be worth $100, $200, $300, $400 an hour. So you're going to take an hour of this lady's time. And it doesn't matter, even if she doesn't even have an education, it doesn't matter. You're taking her time. And you want to take her out now on a date. You take her from her house, you go pick her up and ask her the pleasure of getting some of her time. And when the bill comes up, you're going to tell her to pay half, sir. You need to get in your car, go home, and become a man first. How dare you ask this lady to... you took her out of her house and tell her you love her. Right. You want to get to know her. And she must pay half the bill. Sir, please go back home and learn how to be a husband, how to be a man in dating. You see? And this is how you practice. If you are practicing to tell a woman, no, you're going to pay half because you should take equal thing, then don't. So when you take your dog out and you take him to a dog park or a dog, they have these dog restaurants, you know, that you go
Wow.
with your dog. You're going to tell your dog he has to pay half? And I'm not saying, you know, I'm not comparing human beings with dogs, but I'm just saying,
Yeah. Yeah. The
you took the
principle.
dog there,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
I see a point
Interesting.
coming there though. What's I see something you're thinking.
Nah, it's the principle that and you know, one thing you find in life that life is very dynamic, but I'm finding out that it's basically the same principles landing in different contexts.
Wow. Like
You
that.
know, that's one of the things I've been noticing lately that if you can harness a principle, learn it, you'll actually find that very principle uh flows. It finds different expressions
I I
in yeah.
I totally appreciate that. I totally appreciate that because I just want to sneak in here that
Mm-hmm.
like gravity is a principle,
Mm-hmm.
and we use
Mm-hmm.
gravity in different areas of life.
Mm-hmm.
In a plane, we understand gravity, so we come against it to take off and to go.
Mm-hmm.
In a vehicle system, a carbureted system, use gravity to get the fuel inside the engine along with vacuum. And so that gravity is used all around. And the same way I enjoy what you're saying, because when it comes to the manufacturer,
Mm-hmm.
when he says something, that is a principle that you can apply to any area of life and not just
Mm-hmm.
seem like you're a religious nut, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but it can be
Mm-hmm.
applied to different areas of life. I like that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, well, one more thing I want to add, Seiko, with the you talked about the pain of divorce and the pain of breakup and all of that. And one of the things with life also that again for us to understand is life has difficulty in it, but and there are times that it's painful, but we what are we willing to bear when it comes to the difficulty? Because if it is going to be challenging, it's going to require discipline, it's going to be somewhat painful to
Yeah.
practice selflessness, but listen,
Hmm.
the return that it will yield, and
Mm-hmm.
that's what I don't think we think about that aspect. We say, man, now that's too much, to give up, that's too much to do,
Yeah.
because you can't, you're not seeing the benefit, you're just seeing the no. But I
Yeah.
want to tell you, if you practice selflessness, and I need to practice stuff, but you see it's going to yield a return. I promise you,
Oh
it's
yeah.
going to yield. But if you don't practice it, and if you sow and invest selfishly in the moment, yeah, you're feeling good in the moment, you're getting some gratification, but the return that selfishness will yield
Yeah.
is going to cause it. So I'm going to sum this up by asking, are we willing to bear the difficulty of the discipline and the pain, or do we want to bear the difficulty of the detriment?
Yep.
You know, so yeah, and the post trauma that comes. So
I
either way,
like that.
guys, listen, either way, we're gonna have to deal with some level of difficulty, sacrifice, and pain. Um,
Yeah.
what we're saying is better to practice selflessness, because it's going to yield something better versus the selfishness, which is going to yield a terrible return. So
I
that's
like
just
that.
one. Yeah.
I like that. And I would like to even dial in some more into that because uh the reason for doing some things tells you your heart.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're only doing something because it will make you feel good or
Mm,
benefit you,
mm,
then 99% of the time you're not
mm-hmm,
operating in love.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So if you are getting this woman, remember we are trying to help men to prepare for marriage, to
mm-hmm,
understand
mm-hmm,
what mindset we need to have as
mm-hmm,
men for marriage. So guys, when we speak to you, that's our heart. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to listen, but that's our heart.
Mm-hmm.
And so dialing into that, what Shane said earlier, is understanding why you're doing things. Everybody, you do things to get a result.
Mm-hmm.
But the result that you want should not be because it will be to your benefit, to your gratification all the time. We're saying that when you're preparing to be a husband, you're doing it for results, but you're knowing and understanding that not necessarily for your gratification all the time. You should 95, 99% of the time do this to get gratification of your spouse as a male. Your return will come. That's a natural spin-off effect. The return will come. But don't do it for the return. Do it because you're doing it to take care of your family. You're doing it for your spouse. You see? And so that's why I want to dial in that little extra that we understand, because a lot of times as men, we go into relationship because of what we can get. You know, what it will do for me. If you are going into it like that, then you should not go into it. You see? You should go into it because of what you can do for her. I'm telling you, I promise you, the results will naturally come. It will naturally come.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
But the importance of your heart. So I'm encouraging you, and we're encouraging you here, that you take the woman out, man, pay the bills, man. Pay the dating cost.
Yeah.
Practice. You're practicing how to be a husband, how to be a good spouse. Pay the bill. Now, since we're on that topic, that takes me into the other point. You can't pay the bill properly if you're borrowing money from mommy. So you're in high school, your mommy is paying for high school, your mommy is feeding you, and know you want to go on date, and you have to go to mommy and ask her for $20 to take your girl out to buy a lychee chicken.
Yeah.
A lychee fried chicken, or if you're in the States, a McDonald's. A fried chicken. And you have to ask mommy for $20. If you have to ask mommy for money to go on a date, you should be at home studying. You shouldn't be on a date.
Yeah.
You see? So the next point in preparing yourself is get yourself an education. You might be like myself, where I don't have this bachelor's and this master's and this associates and all that sort of stuff. I don't have that because I love practical work. So I happen to have City and Guilds of London. I have training in and I have degrees in that, or certificates in that. And I'm good at my hands. I can repair cars, vehicles, and repair electrical devices. And I enjoy doing that. Get yourself an education. It doesn't have to be an academic style education. It can be a skill. A skill is a very good type of work where you make good money, you know? And so get yourself some type of skill, because you need an education so you can pay the dating bill. You see? Now getting this job and this education is important, because it equips you as the man to be the foundation of your home and to be the foundation of your family. Now, when you have this education, then you understand that now I can take care of my baby. Please, guys, in preparing, I constantly hear this, and it hurts my heart, with a few exceptions, when there's a purpose behind it. I keep hearing everywhere I go, and it worries me, it bothers me, of men taking their women from out their houses with their mother and their father, and taking them to their mother and father to live in their mommy and daddy house. Sir, if you have a woman and you want a woman, please make sure you can get your own house first. You don't have to own it. You can rent it. Don't move in with your mommy and your daddy. They are mommy and they are your mommy and your daddy. They have rules. You want to build your family, you want to build your family in its own environment where you can build how you need to build. Mommy and daddy will always think they own you. They will always know that you're their child. And they will want to tell you what to do, tell your woman what to do. Sometimes
That's
they
right.
pick quarrel and arguments with your woman.
Yep.
And they will probably not discipline your kids the way you want your kids to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's a terribly bad thing. It's better to live somewhere than nowhere. But if you want to get in a relationship, do not live with your mother-in-law or your parents. You should be able to take your woman and put her in her own house.
Yeah.
Where she is the queen.
Yes.
So I keep hearing this. Where men will go and live in their mother-in-law's house. Or they will take their wife to their mommy and daddy house. No.
Yeah.
You should not even live in the same yard.
Yeah.
But it is at least better than living inside their homes. Please, guys.
Listen, guys. What? Let me tell you something. I'll be transparent here. What he's saying is, listen, we've been living it, and it's rare when you find a mother or a father that has the maturity to understand they're grown, and we want it can happen, but honestly speaking, it's not the norm, and we've seen it. Let me just say this: it adds a unnecessary tension and stress to your relationship, and I'm telling you that from life, from what we have been, what we've lived, that when you put yourself, even if it's a move, like for us, it's a move we made for going forward, and so I'm being vulnerable here, but I'm just saying it adds a dynamic. So my wife and I, we for the first 6 years we lived far away, lived on our own. And so we in making a move to get our own home, we cut back, right? We didn't move into the same house, but we moved into the same property that has different house. And even though we had an agreement, we had an understanding before, like where our space would be respected, it's difficult for so I'm just saying to you, just to let you know that it is to think about it. And even moreover, one more thing I'll add, I've even counseled a couple. They were older, but we counseled them, and they had boy, they had a rough time, and we found out that y'all need to, sir, you need to. I think they were living in the same house. They were living in the same house, and with the dude's mom, and we were like, you gotta get your family out of here. And when they moved out, yes, they still they've come a long way, and of course there's still more to go, but they've come along. His wife is a lot happier. So I'm just saying, I just had to add some life to what you're saying, because
you see, we can dial into the dynamics of why that's an issue. We can dial into that, and let me just sneak in there a little bit, because I don't want to take long. I have one last point that I would want to add here. But when you look at some of the reasons why, there, for example, a male bringing his wife, his girlfriend into his mom's house.
Or the other way around.
But I would just want to dial a little bit into that one as to I just want to give one possible reason why that could be devastating. Apart from what we've mentioned about trying to control, because a parent look on their child many times and think they own the child. You are only entrusted with that child with a responsibility to care for that child until that child gets on his foot or her foot and goes. You don't own that child. So when that child comes into your house and brings his woman, I'll tell you a problem that can come from that. That happens many times. A lot of times, mothers get an unhealthy relationship with their sons.
Mm.
And when I say unhealthy, I'm not talking about nasty. I'm just saying unhealthy. Remember, women's greatest need is affection.
Mm.
And many times, because we men, we don't understand how to be husbands, we leave our wives.
Mm.
Or we leave our woman. And we go off and get another woman. That woman is left with 5, 10 picnic. We say in Belize, they're left with 5, 10 children. No? Some of these children are males. And so there's an unnatural attachment many times that a mother would have with her son because it's missing with her husband.
Wow.
And so when you bring your woman into that house, there's a jealousy that ensues. Because while the son had time to see how mom is doing and to be there for her, now he wants to give you all his time. And you want to bring that lady in your mouth. And then he said, boy, but sir, get a job, man.
You're setting yourself up.
You're setting yourself up. Get a house. Get a house.
Yeah.
So and if I could go on to my is that okay? I can go on to my last point?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, well, my last point I want to share, and this is in no way an exhaustive or the end of this list. It's the heart behind. Remember, we began with heart. The heart behind it. You want to keep a part of your heart locked up, but it's your heart that drives you, that gives you passion. You use the word affection, and I like it. And if we dial in even deeper, passion flows from your heart. A man that is under passion, you cannot control. Because passion will drive a man to do all kinds of things. He won't be afraid. That's why the manual tells us that if you have love and your love is perfect, you are not afraid. It gets rid of fear. You forget about fear because you have love.
I like that.
So the last point I have here for you to practice, sir, is to practice self-control. Practice self-control. Self-control begins with you knowing how to lock your heart up. How do you get when you're angry? Do you hit things? You're angry with your parent. Do you punch him down? Sir, I'm talking to you. Do you get upset with your dad and hit him down off his feet? How do you handle when your teacher sends you outside? Do you stomp and push the desk down? That is not self-control. The manual tells you, you can be angry, but don't sin.
Yes.
It's okay to get angry. We all have emotions. But you should train yourself to have control, self-control. A lot of stupid things you see happening in the earth is because of men and women running around without self-control. If you do not have self-control, I'll at least say you can have a dog. But you shouldn't have a wife. You shouldn't have a woman. You shouldn't have kids. I've seen people do atrocious things to their kids. I've heard it on the news. I've seen women, horrible, inhumane things being done to women. Seriously horrible. How is yourself? If you do not have self-control, sir, stay home. In fact, get a house because you don't even belong with your mom and your dad. Get your own house and train yourself to have self-control. And how do you practice self-control? Practice with the people around you.
I like that.
You are going to have enough people, neighbors throwing stuff in your yard. You'll have enough people will come around you and test you, and those tests, they are for you to practice self-control. Learn self-control. The second area you need to practice self-control with. Do not sleep with your woman until you have made a commitment. We see in these stupid movies, and sorry, they're stupid. And Hollywood is setting a standard for human beings. You see a woman in the disco, at the bar, and after that, they have this hot love scene. And as humans, we love to see the hot love scene. I'm not lying to you. I like to see it. And I don't know any man that doesn't like to see a hot love scene. Because it speaks to a part of us. But bro, it's on the first night.
Yeah.
You meet her in the disco and you're passionate, and you get in the hotel room and you see clothes flying, man. Listen, how you don't know anything about this man? Woman, I'm talking to you, lady. You don't know anything about this man. But anyway, we are on the men. So you should show self-control.
Right.
And sleeping with that person the first night you meet that person, it's not self-control. Having sex all over the place. That lady has no assurance that you have self-control, that you're a person that your zipper is under control. And you don't have any proof that you have self-control. It's like somebody that's addicted to some drug telling you, no, I'm going to have control of it, but they go back and deal with it. They have no proof that they have self-control. You have no proof that they have self-control. Or somebody that's a murderer, a serial killer. Tell you, no, man, it's all right now. Stop killing. I can control it. What's your proof? You can't continue to kill people and then turn around and say you have self-control, that you can control it. Where's the proof? So, sir, wait until you have a commitment with this woman. Even if you don't believe in marriage. Don't be sexing all over the place with her because it's passionate. Because after you live with that person for a time, that passion drops to reality. It doesn't stay at the same level. To keep that level, you'll have to go to another woman. Because they know it's fresh. And it's the adrenaline that flows when it's a new thing. It's a different thing to go from passionate sex to passionate sex compared to keeping a woman and keeping her interested in you, that she wants to sleep with you every time. That's a totally different level you have to go, a different level of talent and skill to keep that going. Because no, it's not, it doesn't go by how much of a stud and a thoroughbred you are in bed. It changes from that to how much you can give that lady her greatest need, which is affection. You see? And then your thoroughbred it loses its value. So practice self-control. If you believe in marriage, don't sleep with the lady before you marry her. You see? And so that is what I would like to see. If I can, I'll leave my closing statement for the last. So yeah, that is what I would like to see.
Yeah. So I think that last point, I mean, man, each one of these that we're dialing in on, and if you notice, we're already dialing in a little more, but as we're dialing in on each of these points, we find out there's so much more layer and meat inside of each of it, and I appreciate that, because it back to one of the points that we made, that you were talking about earlier with our experience. When for you guys it was the black and white book, and then the color, it just got more vivid, and like I shared with you, I walked in the room and he has this video on the screen, and there's been a lot of recent exposure in the pornography industry, which is a multi-billion industry. But there's been a lot of exposure. There've been people who have come out, who were in it and has come out and have been and gave a lot of the more intricacies and intimate details of what it was like being a porn star. And you find out that what so much men and women, some women, but we're talking about men, are so much of us were you're attracted to a lie. It's a lie, and what it does, one of the greatest deceptions of porn is that it gives this picture of what sex is, and I think that has been a huge influence on generations to peddle a lie of what sex is, because some of these porn stars would tell you who come out that they walk into a room with a woman they don't even know, and they have to I think one of the words one of them used, it's just cold. It was very cold not the atmosphere of the air condition, but They don't know each other. They have no connection, and it's cold, and they're on these pill that it's just so fabricated. And so now you pop on an internet site, you pop in well, I don't know if anybody has DVD players anymore. Maybe they still do, but you look at it and you go, wow, yeah, yeah, that's what I want with this woman or my wife or whatever, and but you are absorbing a fabrication of what was meant to be by the manufacturer, something far more intimate and deep, hence why and what I'm about to say is not archaic. It is the absolute truth. Sex is meant to complete a union.
Yeah.
And to enrich it, right? Versus what you so I just want to say that as we listen this morning and I today or whatever time this lands, and that you're dialing in, all right? So just to hammer that point, man, that it's where I say sex is great. It's a gift from the manufacturer to be expressed and to enrich. And you're saying again, you must have said this is stupidness, this is foolishness. What kind of men are you? Well, we are peculiar men, all right. I say that with no reservation, but it is possible, all right, to experience that enriching sex life between one woman and one. It's possible. It's possible. All right. And so yeah, but I think I want to conclude here this morning. I keep saying this morning because we're talking today the morning time, but maybe you're catching this at the night, but wherever you're catching it, I just want to conclude by saying we need to be wise men in preparing. And that word wise is an acronym, and I just want to share it very briefly. And Mr. Arthurs said earlier about practicing with the woman in your life and the people. And I want to say for the W, look at the woman in your life, whether it's your little sister, your older sister, your mom, your aunt, practice and try to develop healthy relationships with them.
Yes.
Because so the woman, when I was younger, so I'm the boy, the only boy and the youngest, and my older sisters, they used to bully me a little bit, right? Because I was smaller than them. But then I became 12 and I guess a little bit of testosterone began to kick in. And so I got a little stronger, and I realized, wait, all right, I can't push him around anymore.
Yeah.
And one of the things I did, I hit my sister, right? She's 4 years older than me. And my dad, he was, and that's one of the things that he was instilled in me from I was young. You never lay your hands on a woman.
Yeah.
And so he was, he put me up. But I'm saying though, it was a teaching moment. All right. It was a teaching moment for me. And so the woman in your life, and I want to add another W to this one. It's a double layer acronym. A marriage and relationships. Listen, guys, it's a war, but it's a good war. And we have to be ready to fight. Okay. We have to be ready to fight, and anything that's worth fighting for is worth having. And your family, your wife. Listen, man, don't lose your wife, don't lose your kids, don't lose what you've built. Fight for it, man. Wow, it's a war, right? It's a war. Okay. I moved to the I very quickly. Preparation takes intentionality, and it takes investment. You don't casually prepare. All right. You have to be intentional about what we're saying here. And it's going to take investment. It's going to take time. It's going to take you taking time out to do it. All right. So the I, all right, be intentional, invest at the S. Marriage relationship takes strong men. Okay. It takes strong men. We talked about foundation in the previous session. That a foundation has to be strong. I found myself in a deep conversation this last week about foundations with somebody who builds, and the person says, if your foundation is not strong in a building, you're gonna have to demolish that building.
That's right.
you're gonna have to demolish it. And we spoke about a building that we know that has to be demolished if it's not demolished by now. It takes strong men, all right. It takes, and you alluded to this word earlier, sacrifice. Practicing to put yourself second. And let me say something here, and I'm saying this to me. Sometimes as a man, you can see a little extra financing come in, and then you're like, yeah, I could probably cut myself maybe a new shirt. I could cut myself one new head, whatever it is that you like. But the wife comes home with a need, something that you didn't plan for. That's a practical place that you can be sacrificial.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just using one example for to be economic with our time as we wind down. And then the E, expect and expectations, because so one of the things that I learned, and I felt I had a decent preparation for marriage, which did help me, but I still learned more. And one of the things that I was not prepared for, that I had to learn on the go, was to expect less and expect to give more.
Wow.
As a man, and that leads to expectation, because I had a lot of false expectations going into marriage.
Yes.
And I think that happens for women too, but we're talking to the men. So expect less and expect to give more, and expectations, try as best as possible to have those expectations align with the manufacturer and the manual, because we and I always say this when I talk to young adults who are dating, and I'm trying to paint them a picture of marriage, not to discourage them, but to educate them properly. I said, young guy, are you going into this marriage, or do you want to get married to this woman because you expect her to pick up your socks? You expect her to put away your shoes? You expect her to cook 3 meals a day? You expect her to wash it? Is that why you want to marry her? Or do you expect her to lie down at your whim? Right? Are you going in with that? Then you're not ready.
Yep.
You're not ready. Let's talk about it some more. Because if you go in with false expectations, if you go in expecting to get more than you're willing to give, you're gonna be terribly disappointed. And you may want to hit the D button, and we don't promote the D button around here.
Yes, that's right.
So be wise men. All right, be wise men. Practice with the woman. It's a war. Be intentional. Invest. Be strong. Be sacrificial. Expect to give more than you're willing to receive, and have healthy expectations. All right.
With closing comments like that, I'm afraid to speak anything else. The only thing that I would add to that, for the E, with the expect, that is awesome, to expect less and give more. And I would also probably add education to that.
Yes. Yes.
Get an education. Yeah. Get educated, both in how to operate as a husband, and get an education so you can have a job. And education is a part of being wise, because now an education means you're getting knowledge, and you're getting understanding, and you might even be getting wisdom. You might be taught how to apply. You mentioned also that we are peculiar men, and I don't think we are peculiar men.
Right.
I don't think we are peculiar men. I feel that we are normal men. And we are just simply functioning the way a normal man should function.
Right.
So if you have cars all over the place shutting down and not working, and you meet a car that's working, and you say, wow, you're a peculiar car, then you're suggesting that it is more than it should be. It's supernatural.
Yeah.
No. We are natural men, and men that are functioning without
normal. Yeah.
They are not normal.
Yes.
And they can upgrade themselves to being normal, the way we were created to function. No? And then when it comes to the lust and pornography, I just want to say that it is even harder today, because it is readily accessible and you can be very private with it. Everybody has a cell phone now compared to my time. And everybody has internet. And so pornography is free for everybody to have access to.
Yeah.
But just keep in mind that you're damaging yourself, you're damaging your mind. It will mess you up in a relationship. I was married twice. And even in my second marriage, I began it and had trouble with pornography. You see, you're married, you have your wife, you have access to sex, but this thing is, you think it's just satisfying. It is damaging your heart. And the manufacturer in the manual tells us that lust is like a fire. You don't feed a fire and say, okay, if I feed the fire, it will be satisfied, it will be happy, and it will stop.
It's going to grow.
It's going to grow. And the same thing with lust. And you don't feed lust. You kill lust. You stop lust. You starve lust. You lock up lust. You run from lust. This is one of the few places in the manual, it doesn't encourage you to stand up and fight like a man. It tells you to run, flee. You see? So it is okay when you're dealing with lust to be a coward. Run.
Run away.
Run away. And this is because we are not even discussing disease.
Yeah.
That you can get from operating in this type of thing. And then you give your wife these disease. You end up with bumps and, all kind of STIs.
Yeah.
So your W in the wise, I also really, really, really appreciated that where you clearly express this point that men in preparing learn from women in your lives. There will be many, many women in your lives, starting with your mother. If she is still alive, practice on her, learn from her, treat her the way you would treat your wife. When you get a wife, I'm talking if you don't have a wife right now and you're preparing, treat your mother that way. Up to now, I treat my mother a certain way. I make sure I love on her. I make sure that I honor her. That is my responsibility, to honor her. And I try to let her at all times know she's appreciated. And I try to also make sacrifice for her. I'm still married. And my wife is not threatened by it, because my wife knows that my priority is my wife, not my mother.
That's right.
My mom, who I so love. I'm just saying, learn from women in your lives. The women in your lives will go through menopause. Like your mom will go through it, your teachers. They will have times when they're having their period, their menstruation, and they're a little bit irritable. And you can practice on them how to operate with a woman when she's at that point. You'll have women in your life. Learn from them. So if you should practice what the women in your life speak of you highly.
This has been Marriage Matters, and we've been discussing a lot about the matters of marriage because it matters to you. What you're going through matters, and so we hope that, and we know for us, we chew on it, we enjoy. We hope and we trust it has been educating, and it has been encouraging, and it has even been empowering for you. And so until next time, this has been Marriage Matters. Blessings on you guys. Later.
Take care.